we're going to talk about pulp. What is pulp? Where do you find it? And why people who like it may just be a little bit smarter than your average bear. Let's get going. Okay, guys. So if any of you have interacted with me on YouTube or on Discord, you know I like cringy sex scenes in books. And I just read one of the cringiest, silliest eroticas. Well, I've only ever read one other erotica, and that was 50 Shades of Grey. So not only is this the silliest erotica I've ever read, it is also the best erotica I've ever read, because I thought it would be, when I first read 50 Shades of Grey, I thought I was going to get what I read here. And I read Electric Idol by Katee Roberts. Now, I read this for the boy band readathon because one of the prompts I'm doing, I'll link some videos about the boy band readathon, but my boy band is Backstreet Boys. It was Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Hanson, which I had never heard of, or Jonas Brothers. I chose Backstreet Boys just because I wanted that way. So there. So one of the prompts was to read a book with a heart on the cover. So this is the second book in the series. I haven't read the first. The person who was making suggestion videos was like, you don't need to read the first one, or I don't think you need to read the first one. Well, you probably should, because I was very confused about the goings-on, but let's face it, I wasn't there for the social climbing drama. I was here for the cringe erotica, and that is exactly what we got. I will say that there are aspects of this that I did actually like. The main character was a fat girl, and she, like other fat girls, was sexy and liked sex. Like, so many people think that fat girls are just frumpy and boring, and we don't do that kind of stuff. And women in general, I will say, as a woman, we want sex just as badly as men do, and fat girls want, like, and are good at sex just as much as those skinny little bitches. We are. But this book is not meant to be taken seriously at all. And I have a few books on my shelf. Yes, I finally stacked up my shelves right here, and then my little micro shelves. I'm going to show you a good example of pulp fiction. Where is it? Here it is. This is where pulp gets its name, from these old books from like the 60s. This was my dad's. It's got some writing on the back that I can't really read because I don't read cursive very well. But you can see it's very flimsy. It's very cheap. It was made with very cheap paper that just got read to a pulp. And because it was so cheap to make, it was made out of this crappy paper. It was called pulp. This is Daybreak, negative 2250 AD, under the original title of Starman's Son. I read this about 10 years ago, and I liked it. So one of the few sci-fi books I've read, it's dystopian. It is pulp. I have another pulp book that I got from Half Price Books, the flagship one in Dallas. It's, what's it called? Biblings. So again, you can see it's not nearly as beat up because it's not nearly as old, but these are both pretty old. You can tell they're old because they don't have barcodes on the back. That's how you tell. But they're made out of the same cheap, crappy material, yet they're not crappy on the inside. They're cheesy. The story is cheesy. I kind of feel the same way about This is Pillars of the Earth right here, and World Without End is down here. Ken Follett, I feel, is very pulpy, and that's why I like him, because his his dialogue is hilarious, his scenes are so cringy, and it's just funny. And I am so proud of BookTube right now. They actually had an event called Garb August, like garbage, to celebrate trash literature. First of all, let's not call it trash, let's call it pulp. And second, thank goodness, people. There are so many people who like this kind of cheesy stuff and they're just embarrassed because they think, it's stupid erotica written for desperate women. No, it's fun. It's stupid sci-fi written for dumb boys in their parents' basements who ran out of comic books. No, it's not. It is so much more than that. And the reason is because you approach these from an ironical viewpoint. Obviously, we are not holding this or the Katee Roberts books or Pillars of the Earth or World Without End to the same level as my dude right here. Okay? I'm going to go into Shakespeare with a much different mindset than I am going into pulp sci-fi. I'm going to go into the book The Normans, or Medieval Bodies right here, which I started reading, with a much different mindset than if I was going into What Moves the Dead. Similarly to those silly horror movies like Sharknado or, I don't know, what's the other one? Birdemic, The Room, all those trash movies. They're camp, they're pulp, they're cheesy, they're silly. And people who are able to read this stuff and watch that kind of stuff and be entertained by it have a broader, more abstract mind. So my goal with making this video is to be proud of the shit that you love. If you like Katee Roberts' weird, it's not weird. Like, the sex is not weird in it. Ken Follett has weird sex. And by weird, I mean, like, not sexy sex. Like, sex where you describe pubic hair or, like, referring to certain parts of the bodies in ways that just are not sexy. Now, Katee Roberts, she goes from the sexy to the downright shocking. Like, there are sexy scenes in certain movies, certain books. I would put Outlander more on the sexy level. Katee Roberts transcends sexy and goes into the holy crap, what the hell am I reading, but I love it territory when it's describing, like, Greek gods trading orgasms. Like, it's so out there, but it's so enjoyable. And if you enjoy this kind of stuff, own it. You love it, okay? Face it, you love this kind of stuff. If you can approach something from an ironical viewpoint, that's a good thing. Your life will be so much better, so much more enriched by this stuff than it will if you do nothing but intake high literature. Like, that stuff's important, but this is equally as important. This is equally as good for your brain as Shakespeare. So, guys, I'm gonna leave you with this image. You guys keep reading, keep writing, keep loving words, keep loving garbage, and I'll see you next time. Bye.